to see you.
Good to see you.
Here's how mine looks. It's got the arrow up. I'm gonna go backwards and then down for if you want to go forward. I don't know. I don't have that. What's that say?
Should I be using this iPad here? Or?
You'll probably get everything you need from Michael, but should use
Can we get Ellie over
it's
here?
right here, then just kind of move it along.
Sure. Okay, awesome.
Hey, Ellie.
You need roller skates.
You went to
You just go like this.
Well, you don't have much idea.
Hey, I'm right there with you.
Charlie ran for some kind of. Let's see. He got some kind of recognition.
Okay, we're ready to find whatever you need. Okay. I am calling to order the meeting of April 11th, 2024. And, okay, would you answer when I call your name? Arthur Letchus?
Here.
Rex?
Grizzle, here.
Yeah, I know that. Connie
Here?
and Shaq.
Here.
Okay. And myself, we're all present. We've all gotten the meeting minutes, and we have hopefully read them, and we need to have a motion to accept the minutes as written. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Okay, does Michael start now? Oh, yeah. Here I was complaining about it. Got me. Would you please say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And under public hearing, I believe Michael Woodman is going to make a presentation.
Thank you, Chairwoman and Commissioners. The item before you this afternoon, the applicant is requesting to designate a structure as historic. There were conditions of zoning that require the Dr. J.L. Morris House to be saved, restored, and designated as historic under the city's Historic Preservation Incentive Ordinance. I do have the location map on the overhead. This property is located at 116 North Main Street. It's on the west side of North Main Street at the intersection with Cumming Street. If this item is eventually approved, it would move this property from the contributing historic buildings inventory to the designated historic buildings inventory in the city's Historic Preservation Incentive Ordinance. This property was approved for rezoning back in May 23rd of 2022. As part of that rezoning, the applicant was approved for 2 4-story mixed-use buildings. And those buildings included office, retail, restaurant, and 4 for-sale condominium units. As part of, and there's structured parking as well with that development. As part of that proposal, the applicant proposed to save and restore the Dr. J.L. Morris House, which some people refer to as the violin shop. That was the last occupant of that property. They have since moved into the former Wells Fargo building. And conditions of zoning allowed that structure to be used for a restaurant or an office. It's my understanding that the applicant is proposing to use it for a restaurant. We found this excerpt from the Alpharetta Milton County, the early years. And in this picture on the lower end here shows a picture of Dr. J.L. Morris. The Dr. J.L. Morris House was constructed in 1935. It's about 89 years old. The structure is about a little over 3,100 square feet, and it was constructed in the English vernacular revival style. Dr. J.L. Morris was known in Alpharetta history as one of the first family doctors in the city. He started practicing medicine in Buena Vista, Georgia, which I believe is right outside of Columbus. Dr. Morris came to Alpharetta in 1929, opened his first office in 116 North Main Street. And his daughter, Jessie Morris Roberts, followed in his footsteps, and they provided medical services for the community, combined 94 years between the two of them. Now, just to remind you, for a historic designation, we do have some criteria. And actually, before I read off the criteria, I did want to show you some renderings that the applicant provided for the development. So we're at Cumming Street looking west so Cumming Street is behind us. We're looking west. This is 100 North Main Street, the 3-story building that's been developed. And then just to the north of that is the Dr. J.L. Morris House, which sits here. These are the 2 4-story buildings that were approved as part of that development. So this is a picture of the house from Main Street. And these are just some different perspectives. Now, the actual rehabilitation of this house will be done at the June 13th Historic Preservation Commission meeting through a certificate of appropriateness. So that's where you're really going to focus on the details of the rehab of the structure and reuse of that structure. Today, we're just looking at adding it to that historic designation list.
Michael, just one question. Look, you said 4 stories. Is that because there's stuff going on the top floor there? Is there something? Because it looks like 3 stories,
Yeah.
but they're.
It was approved as a 4-story building, but yeah, I do agree with you. It looks like in this picture they are just showing 3. It's the 4th story here may be because this is enclosed space on the top floor that would constitute a 4th story.
Balcony restaurant or something like that up there, maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so just going back to those review criteria to designate a property as historic. So our ordinance indicates as there are 3 review criteria. The first one says is the structure is of historic, cultural, aesthetic, or architectural significance to the city, the region, the state, or the nation. The second review criteria, the structure possesses historic integrity in terms of its location, design, setting, materials, workmanship, feeling, and association. And then the third is the structure is deemed worthy of preservation by reason of value to the city, the region, the state, or the nation for one or more of the following reasons. It's an outstanding example of a building representative of its era and over 75 years old. It's one of a few remaining examples of past architectural style, and it's a place associated with an event or person of historic or cultural significance to the city, region, state, or nation. And of course, the Alpharetta and Old Milton County Historical Society recognized the significance of the structure to include it on the initial contributing structure list. And then as for the reasons that I noted earlier, the Dr. J.L. Morris House, it was constructed in 1935, so it is over 75 years old. And it is an example of English vernacular revival architecture, which we do not have many examples, if any other examples that I know of in the city. So we do believe that the applicant's proposal meets those review criteria to be designated as historic. As part of this public hearing process, the applicant does have to notify all properties within 500 feet of this property of their request to designate the property, and they did do that. They did respond with a report that indicated that they did not receive any comments or questions from anybody. And then they did show their request to the community at the March 13th Community Zoning Information Meeting, and there were no public comments on this request left on the sign-in sheet. And so with that, staff is recommending approval of the designation of this structure, and I am happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Do you have an actual picture of the building now?
I do not have a picture, but maybe after the applicant comes up and makes their presentation, I can try to pull it up on Street View on my iPad.
Okay. Do we know what condition it's in right now? Has it been abandoned or?
I'm not sure on the condition of the structure other than what you can see from the outside. I know that the violin shop was utilizing that space. They were occupying that space up until recently, and they've just recently moved out. So it's not like it's been sitting vacant for any kind of considerable time.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions?
Just number-wise, will this be the 6th? I'm counting maybe this is the 6th property that we're putting on the designated list. Can you?
I can verify that for you. I need to consult the code. I don't think that we had added in that table in my file, but I can confirm that for you while the applicant does their presentation.
Yeah, sure. I'm just jumping ahead. I'm excited about it. So.
Yeah. I can check on that for you.
All right.
We have someone that.
Oh,
I have this picture if you're able to plug it in.
I don't know. Will that show?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Shows it.
So this is a Google Street View. And these are usually pretty up to date, the Google Street View.
Okay, now I recognize it. Thank you.
I'll get you an answer on the number of properties that we currently have designated.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Arthur? No. No? Connie? No? Okay. I'd like to ask the builder to come up and present yourself. And
Thank you. I'm happy to. My name is
Can
Howard.
you, Craig, can you make sure to press the button? It's the one that looks like a person on the right. There you go. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Howard Slomka. I'm here representing 116 North Main and Brent Beecham, the applicant. I've been involved with the project since it was under contract. One of the things that attracted this developer to this was not this building, despite it was historic, but because it was historic. We're pleased to own it. We've submitted. We're the ones asking for the designation, and while we believe what we're going to do here is going to add to the downtown district, we believe that one of the reasons why this district is so attractive is because of the preservation that that bodies like yourselves are doing there. So we're thrilled to be a part of it. Ms. Stedman asked an excellent question about the current status of the building. It is by no means abandoned. It is vacant currently, but it's operational, but not up to code. In order to bring in a new tenant, there are significant mechanical, electrical, and plumbing improvements that we would have to make, which we are prepared to make, all on the inside. And the plans and the drawings, which will come up in the future hearings, will designate or will demonstrate that we're going to keep the appearance of the building as is from Main Street. Again, if you have any questions, I'm happy to field them and also to take your recommendations. Yes, sir.
Who's gonna own the building? Is it gonna be owned by the group that owns the properties behind it?
Yes, the plan right now is that it'll be a single owner for the 3 buildings, and this particular building will be leased to a user, most likely a restaurant user.
Do you own the house next door also? Is that part of the project?
The house to the north of this one is 126 Main Street. We own both of those.
Okay.
That one is not a historic home. And that one, if you remember, there are 2 4-story structures. And by the way, they are, the rezoning allows us to go up to 4, but we're going to use 3 with a rooftop balcony above that. And 126 is owned. 116 is what's before you today to remain. And the building immediately to our south, which is already in existence now, is not owned by us. But we do have a shared parking easement along with them, and it's been a cooperative development.
Just going back to the condition, historically, I mean, the outside is just a beautiful house, and I'm excited about that, but I've never been inside. I know it'll have to be updated in terms of codes and all that kind of stuff, so especially for a commercial venture like a restaurant or anything. So I'm sure a lot of changes will need to be made, but I'm also curious and hopeful that the inside as well would be indicative or historical in some kind of nature. I know Tracy Ward, I know him, I like him, I like his work, but what will he be doing in terms of historical reproduction in terms of anything you guys do on the house?
With regard to the interior furnishings and colors, I don't know the answer to that, but the interior of the home has significant load-bearing walls, much more so than a modern structure would have. So the ability to sort of go in and knock it all out and make it look modern is frankly not there, because so much of what is existing in the structure now holds up the roof. And we're not going to go in and take those out and make it a steel-supported structure.
Good.
What
Yes.
do you plan to have there?
Almost definitely a restaurant.
Okay.
The exact nature of that restaurant is still under a non-disclosure agreement, but it's
Yeah, of course.
it's a restaurant that's in keeping with the community. I suppose I can say it's a high-end restaurant as opposed to a fast casual restaurant. It's table service and waiters.
Okay. Great.
But again, the lease isn't signed, we're somewhat at the whim of the market there, but it looks very, very promising that it will be a table service restaurant with,
Great.
with a bar.
Well, I meant opposed to an office area, an office building,
Yes,
something like that.
yes, yeah.
Okay. Now, you're not gonna do anything to the outside, like take down the brick or cover the brick or anything like that, correct?
God knows paint.
Right, I mean, that'll be the next hearing.
That'll be the
There-
next.
There will certainly be something happening to the outside, but the intent is to keep both as much of the original structure and certainly all of the character of the structure.
Okay.
Will there be any additions to that house? Because I'm a little shocked that that's 3,100 square feet. It didn't look that big, but maybe it is.
Yeah, there's a basement level. I think there will be some additions, but nothing visible from Main Street, nothing that would interfere with the character of the building.
Okay.
Yeah, on your applicant, on your request here, it's to modify the existing structure to extend the rear of the building and expand the basement level of the structure.
That's correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Connie, how about you?
No, thank you.
No? All right. I will need a.
Ask, I'm sorry, Bonnie, I didn't put on your script. We need to ask if there's any public comment.
Oh.
So we do have someone here, so if there's.
Okay. If there are any public comments, would they please come forward? No. Okay. Then we need to have, hold on. Yes, Michael.
I just wanted to respond to Commissioner Lewis's question about the number of structures that have been designated. We've had 7 designated as historic, so if this one is ultimately approved, it would be the 8th.
Oh,
Wow. Okay, well, I'll go over those again. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have one question. What about parking?
good point.
So as part of, I'm sorry, the question was about parking. As part of the overall development, this particular building will benefit from a reciprocal easement agreement. It will have parking underneath the adjacent buildings, both the buildings that we own and also the building to the south. Again, we've been cooperative with them, and we have a shared parking arrangement, so we don't anticipate any problem whatsoever. From my experience, if the tenant doesn't foresee a problem, then we won't have a problem, because tenants always are pessimistic about the number of parking spaces. So, and nothing visible from in front between Main Street and the structure. Good question.
Are there any other questions?
You said 4 condos? Did you say 4 condos?
Yeah, not in this structure, but in the 2 structures that will be
Yeah.
built to its north, yes, 4 residential condos.
Okay.
All of them still for sale.
Do you have a time frame?
We anticipate breaking ground on this shortly after we'll be before the commission in the late spring and early summer, and then we'll be breaking ground then.
So if the condos are for sale, what's the price? You have a range yet?
I do, but I don't recall exactly what the sales price on these condos will be. I'm sorry.
Hi.
Oh, they will be high-end, first-class condominium, no question, but yeah, they don't involve the building 116, that'll all be a 126 address, and I just didn't study that before I came here.
Any other questions from the board? No? Then I will need a motion to accept this. Do I have that?
I would make a motion that we accept 116 North Main as
As
historical
designated.
Is there a second?
I say.
Rex, okay. All in favor? Raise your hand. And that will pass.
Thank you.
Great, congratulations. Do we have any items from the board members that you would like to bring up? Jack, do you have any?
Michael, I don't know if you got my email. I was just wondering about the Lewis Manning, and if my rumor that I had heard was that they had found a well in the crawl space.
I did get your email and I did respond to you, but I've not
Oh,
heard anything about that. And I did reach out to the Katies who are rehabbing the home, and I haven't heard anything back yet. But certainly I'll try to, if I find any information out, I'll certainly let you know.
I'm a curious person. Thank you.
That's great. All right. Do we have any items from staff?
From me, I just want to find out how many of you don't have access to your city emails accounts? Rex and Connie?
Don't have a what?
Access to your city email account. You need help with that still.
I'm sort of in limbo.
Okay, all right, so, because what I'll do is I'll fill out an IT help desk request and somebody should, get back to you on that. Thank you.
It works.
What now?
I said it works.
Yeah, because technically I'm not supposed to send you emails to your personal address, so I'm just trying to get everybody set up.
Yeah.
And we won't have a meeting next month. We will have a meeting, like Michael said, in June.
Do we know the date?
Yeah, you have it on your, gave you all your, but I can send it to you again, but it's in your, I sent you the dates earlier this year.
Yes.
Okay.
And will that be the certificate of appropriateness?
Yes,
for
you'll
this
have,
one?
you'll be hearing this item for the certificate of appropriateness.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, we have finished the hearing on our item on the agenda. If there are no further business from the board, we'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Okay, and
I'll second.
second? All in favor?
I'm sorry, who seconded the motion?
Arthur.
Okay, Arthur and
Okay, all in favor of adjournment? So done. Thank you very
Thank
much for
you.
attending. Thank you, Michael.
you guys can leave your iPads there because we have another meeting, so I have to set them up for that.